All right, let's imagine a scenario for an example's sake. You have a man. I often speak from the male's perspective because I'm a man myself, so it's very easy for me. So you have this guy with his wife and their 5 children. With the whole family, they are on a safari. Let's say they are on a safari in Tanzania. So the guide is a guide in the group. There are like 5 more families and 3 newlyweds. It's a group from the United States, and they went to Africa. Well, they want to have a safari to see wildlife. But then suddenly, one of the hedges, one of the fences, in the park is broken, but they're not aware of it. So when they're walking, suddenly these wild animals appear before them. It's a group of tigers. Now, what's going to happen? The guide did not prepare for this, because normally the tigers shouldn't even be there. There was a malfunction, and that's why they escaped from the boundary they established for those tigers. And those tigers are a bit aggressive at that moment. So what's going through the minds of the people there at the safari? Their brains are sensing danger. They know that things can go wrong anytime. So their only focus becomes to get out of the situation. So they lose perspective of all that's around, and they need to get out of there. And that's a natural thing. When there's physical danger over there, your brains shut down all the other. Your brain does receive information of everything that's around, but your brain shuts all down, and the brain scans to ways out of the situation. And that's a natural thing. Okay? If there is a real physical danger out there that may affect you, then you have this fight or flight response. Only then. But let's say you're not in a dangerous circumstance, but you have a way of thinking that expects danger. For your body, it doesn't matter whether there's a real danger out there or whether it's imagined. When your brain senses danger, the fight and flight response is activated. So understand this. Worldly people, they are relief-centered. So their thinking is fear-based. Their mindset is a duality to go after benefit to avoid a disadvantage. So they want advantage and not a disadvantage. And the only reason why something is an advantage is because they have an expectation towards that so-called advantage. And the reason why something is a disadvantage is because there's something else that they idolize as an advantage. So both advantage and disadvantage are two sides of the same coin. For example, likes and dislikes. Why do you like certain people and those people not? Because you have an image that you're holding on to, and because those people here reflect that image, you feel relieved with those people, and those others that don't reflect the image you perceive as a threat. Again, the flight and fight response of the body is activated when you encounter people that don't match that image you're holding on to. That's the body part, okay? The body follows the mind. Of course, the body affects the mind. For example, if someone had a car accident and their body is not able to the nerve system cannot process the feelings in the legs, then someone cannot walk, so they need a wheelchair. So the mind is affected in the sense that you now are adapting to the circumstance. So of course, the body affects the mind, but in general, the body follows the mind. Okay? So if you have a way of thinking that is inconsistent, if you have a way of thinking that's darkness, it will reflect upon the body. Why do you think Jesus said? Why do you think the Messiah said? If your eye is light, your whole body will be illuminated. Why? He said that the eye is the lamp of the body. He also made plain that if what should be light in you, that means your perception is darkness, and how great is the darkness. And he even said, beware that the light in you is not darkness. Because it is possible for you to have insight that's practical, but that insight is darkness without you being aware of it. It doesn't matter whether you're aware of it or not, it will have an effect upon you, upon the body you're in, and upon your environment. And by the way, ways of thinking that don't agree with Christ, they open you to the influence of demons. Some dysfunctional ways of thinking are more dysfunctional than others, the more dysfunctional it is, the more negative energy it will breed, so the more demons it will attract. But nevertheless, whether it's a small dysfunction or a big dysfunction, of course the big dysfunction is going to have more consequences, but it's still a dysfunction. But in the world, dysfunctions have their functions, because a dysfunction is a function, but it's a function that in the long term is self-destructive. So that's what I want to share with you. When you see something happening in society or in the community around you, and you begin to think, okay, hold on a minute, why do people accept this? You are focusing now upon why people are doing it. And that's based upon your thinking, how you expect people to think and behave. But what if your expectation is not true? Now you are keep meditating and keep researching to find out why something happens, but you won't find an answer that matches your way of thinking, because your way of thinking it may be wrong. For example, you think that criminals break into houses to get money, but then you look on TV with those crime cases where they broke into houses where there was no money. And when you look at the statistics, when you go to a library, you see that often they break into ghettos where there are a lot of poor people. And now you're going to think, hold on a minute, why are they doing that? You can't understand it because your way of thinking is they want money. Money is the goal. But when you look at the bigger picture, because before your thinking was narrowed down to they want money, and you held on to that way of thinking. But now that you expand, now that you look at the bigger picture, you realize that it's not money they're after, it's relief. So you get what I'm saying here? So your way of thinking does affect how you perceive things, how you process things. That's obvious. Just realize that if the light that's in you, if the practical way of thinking that you have is darkness, whether you're aware of it or not, it's still darkness, okay? And will have side effects upon you. And I'm going to repeat what I've said. A dysfunction is a function. For example, smoking, cigarettes, cigars, it's dysfunctional because it destroys your bodily health over time. But still, there are many corporations making cigarettes and cigars and selling them. So what is the function of it? And why do people still smoke? Now, some will say they do it to be cool with their friends, but there are other ways to be cool with your friends without provoking harm upon your physical health in the long term. And there are a lot of people that smoke that know that they shouldn't smoke. Okay, stand over here. It's a bit of wind. So when you do research, you figure out that those people, they want relief. And because they smoke, they get that relief. So what is it they want relief from? Oh, they're not aware of it themselves. So it's a dysfunction, but there's a function. It's a function for the people that smoke, that they get relief, and there's a function for the industry that they make money, so they can offer jobs to people. So a dysfunction is still a function. Just beware that you're not adapting a dysfunction thinking it is light. Because in the world, as I mentioned before, you have short-term fixes. Worldly people are relief. Worldly people are relief-centered, so they are focused on getting the relief. They don't have perspective. Very few worldly people have perspective of what's going on. So you get the idea. Worldly people then hold on to dysfunctions because they work for them. It works on a national level. It works in society. It works in groups. It works individually and within families. And because people don't have any perspective, they don't notice the dysfunction. So I don't want to make this video too long, but I am encouraging you to look at the bigger picture. Because a lot of folks, I'm talking about people that claim to follow Christ, when you evaluate how they think by allowing them to speak and express their views, you'll be shocked with how much dark thinking patterns they are defending. And they do that by using Bible verses. One short example, then I'm going to close. This whole idea that a biological parent has the right to be bitter and negative towards their offspring, they defend it with the Bible verse, honor your mother and father, so that you will have a long life in the earth. Hold on a minute. So if a biological parent is negative minded, that's not going to be beneficial to the offspring. It's not even beneficial for the parent itself. So how can you get long life? By giving someone space, to giving someone influence upon you that's self-destructive. You won't have a long life. So that verse in scripture has its context, but people often take it out of context to approve ways of thinking that the world endorses without evaluating what the world is endorsing. I'm going to tell you, no biological parent has the right to will the negative upon their offspring. I don't care if some of their children or grandchildren have become thieves, have become criminals, or have become gay or whatever. They have no right to will the negative upon their offspring. That's out of order. Why? Because it's also coward. It's cowardly. If you want to will the negative, why don't you will the negative on those that harm society, that harms the human community? Why don't you go after the wizards and witches that destroy the economy, that destroy public life, that destroys the relationships between people? Why don't you go after them? Nobody will against their offspring. They want respect. And world people say, it doesn't matter how bad they are your parents, you have to find a way to deal with it. No. So, okay, I'm really going to close now. Make sure that the light inside of you is not darkness. That being said, be at peace. Shalom.